Hey guys, welcome to episode 3 of the AiM Sports Academy podcast. This week I'm joined by the wonderful Calum and Cameron. How you doing, guys?
That man, you good? What's going on?
What is going on? How's that for an introduction? I feel like it was all right.
It was there. I'm not quite happy with the Andrew got a handsome guy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the wonderful, handsome Andrew Cronin. Oh, yeah, okay. We see how it goes. Suck it up to the boss now.
You have to work your way up the company.
Yeah, I remember those days like it was yesterday.
How's it going, guys?
Yeah,
I'm not doing too bad.
It's going well, considering we're in this pandemic.
Yeah. Sweet. So the way that I was thinking about structuring this episode, I thought it would be nice if we could talk about how you guys started parkour, how you guys got into it, how you kind of met Andrew for the first time, how you guys kind of got associated with AiM Sports Academy. And then I think it would be nice if we could talk about how parkour's kind of affected you as a person, and then how it's kind of shaped your view of the world and stuff like this. So I think if we can start with you, Calum, how did you first start parkour? And then how did you meet Andrew?
So basically, well, from a young age, I'd say I was always like out and about, climbing trees, jumping walls, vaulting, without even knowing what it actually was. And then there was this big thing where it kind of blew up on the internet, and people were all about like, oh, this is free running. And then next thing we knew, in the school is I think it was 5x60 back then, or even E3 even. And the free running / parkour club became a thing in the school. So we all kind of just hopped on that bandwagon and went, oh, well, we always do it outside. Let's try it out. So we started off in the school with some guys that I'm actually still mates with now who were coaching us. Bradley was the main one that I was taught by. And then it kind of like went from there. We had like 6 or 7, I'd say 6 or 7, maybe like 3 or 4 different coaches. So we had Bradley to start with. Then we ended up Bradley and Nathan. Then we ended up having Craig, who runs Fluidity. And then Andrew came into the mix. So I actually met Andrew for the first time back when he was wearing his little handkerchief. He's going to love me for saying this. His little handkerchief in his waistband, thinking he was cool, thinking that it made it look like a spiral whenever he done a corkscrew. When Craig couldn't make a session, so he was working back with Craig, I believe. And he came in for this one session. That's how I met Andrew. And then he obviously started AiM then, which ended up being developed. Then he went on his own, and he ended up becoming our parkour coach. So I met Andrew through him coming to the school as a cover, and then taking over mainly.
So, man, so was that like in your PE hall at school, or?
Yeah, it was in the gymnasium in school. So in my school, we had two PE halls technically. We had the gymnasium and we had the barn, we called it. So the barn was like an indoor football area, and the gymnasium had the basketball and all the gym equipment, really. So he came to the school and he delivered those sessions using what equipment we had in that gymnasium. I wouldn't say it was that big, but it was adequate to do stuff like.
So
yeah.
So and then Cameron, how did you first start parkour, and how did you meet Andrew for the first time?
So mine is very similar to Calum's story, because obviously we went to the same school. However, as a kid, like as Calum said, he was climbing trees. I was more falling out of the trees and climbing door frames. So I was very much outgoing, but just in all the wrong ways. So when I came to the school, which is when obviously I found out about parkour, because there was these signs everywhere about like E3 after school in the gymnasium. So me and my mates just ended up going to that, and that's kind of where like the passion for the sport sort of began, really.
Yeah. That's cool, man. And then so you were being coached at the same sessions that Calum was going to with or the different sessions?
It was the same sessions, but whereas Calum met like Bradley, Nathan, and Craig, I only met Andrew. I didn't know the others because I was a lot further down in the school than what Callum was.
Okay.
I believe, Cal, you were in sixth form, if I was
I
right.
was literally at the point where I was beginning to help Andrew coach and help him deliver the sessions in Treorchy Company. So I'd always like say to Andrew, look, if you need any help, let me know. Yeah, he always used to give me something to do. Got to the point where I was actually helping coach people. That's where I kind of loved it more, because I was getting like, in a sense, I was at that stage where I was like, you know what, you're at that ability now where I want you to be like showing people how to do it. You were the person that people are going to look up to doing it. And that's where Cameron came in, is where I hit that kind of mark. So Cameron was kind of like, yo, how do you do this? How do you do that? And yeah, it's just like, that's where our friendship kind of blossomed. Oh, friends. You know, like.
I don't think it did.
No, it did. It blossomed. Man. Yeah, kind of went from someone who's just come to the class to someone who was intrigued to what it was. Like, at that time, though, because I was like, I had my heart set on doing other things. Like, obviously, I went to uni after it. I had my heart set on becoming like a car mechanic or whatever. Cameron was still very in his like passion of parkour, so I'd always get like this message, yo, have you seen this video? Have you seen the Team Farang stuff? I'm like, yo, who's Team Farang? Like, because I had my head set on other things, like, so it was like Cam had the passion, whereas I was just like, you know, I enjoy well, it's a sport now, so I enjoy the sport and the ability of it. So
you were coaching quite early on, did you say?
Yeah, so obviously I wasn't qualified to coach a class.
But like helping out in the sessions.
Yeah. So Andrew would be like, oh, yo, can you do the warm-up for me? You know, can you just show kids how to do the step through vaults and stuff? I'll obviously coach and be like, I just want you to demonstrate and stuff. And it was kind of like a coaching role in a way, which I never thought I'd end up doing. You know, I was very... My parents always said, yo, go into like the PE side of things. Go do sports. You're amazing at sports. Go do that. But I was like, no, I want to become a mechanic. I want to do cars up and sell them for a living. Like, I want to make cars look cool. You know, I had my heart set on it. Then went to uni and realized that it wasn't my thing. Like, so.
Sweet, man. And then what was that experience like when you kind of like started coaching? Like, were you like, oh yeah, sick. Like got straight into it, or was it kind of like a little bit awkward when you first started, or?
Do you know, I'd say because you knew everybody, because you know them, it is kind of awkward, because you're like, you know, in the back of your head, you get on with them, you cause havoc with them. Like, I was always like the class clown. I was always the kind of person to try and make everyone laugh, act a bit up, like, but I was also the kind of person to push myself as well. So being up in front of everybody, when usually I'm the one causing the havoc, you were just kind of waiting for it to happen. And then you kind of don't know what to do. You kind of want to join in, but, you know, you've been given the task to do. You can't tell them off because they're your classmates. You know, you can't tell them, you're not a coach. So you can't exactly go say, yo, go sit down. You know, you've got to wait for Andrew to do that. And if Andrew's setting up, he was like, you know, he'd be busy setting up if I was going to warm up, or, you know, like he'd be doing something there and then, like with emails or whatever, that he just needed to quickly do while I was doing a warm up. And yeah, you kind of felt a bit nervous to like say anything like to anyone.
Yeah,
because as I said,
because they're kind of like that's your social group, and there's not some kind. And I imagine that you see them like after the session as well.
Yeah. Well, a majority of us would walk home, or we'd go straight to the park, or, you know, we'd go and do stuff. Like, there was often a time with Cam that we organised to all go and do something, like go train some more down at the library and stuff, where there's a nice little spot. So you were kind of all in this friend group where you'd go online together afterwards on the PS4 or PS3 at the time. You know, it was that kind of thing. So you couldn't really say anything, if you get me. Like,
yeah,
you know, you can't, like, whereas now you have that ability to be like, right, you're going to mess around, sit down, you know, chill out for 5. So you kind of get into that role. Once you know that role you take has got the authority over them, it's so much easier.
Yeah, like to run the sessions and to like because you don't want to like run it in like a dictatorial kind of fashion where you're like telling people what to do. But there's like like you're saying, like just chill out for 5. like obviously if the people that you're coaching is your social peer group, and I imagine you're coaching people around your same age as well.
Yeah.
Like you can kind of do that kind of stuff. So Cameron, when did you, because you were doing a bit of you were doing like some coaching or like some assisting type stuff as well. So when did you kind of start that, and then what was that process like for you?
So it was similar to Calum, but at this point, I believe Calum would have left school, and then when Calum was doing other sessions, I would have then beginning to help Andrew.
And is this still at the school that you were going to, like in the gymnasium?
Yeah, so it'd also be in the gymnasium, but then also in Jump Jam in Bridgend, where it's more like a trampoline setting, and it's a lot harder to coach there. But I found, like Callum said, it's very awkward when it's like your age. But then when I went there, I found it like even more challenging to begin with, because I knew no one, and they were either like my age or they were just slightly younger. So it was really hard to engage with them, because also I wasn't fully qualified then, or not even qualified at all. So it was really awkward because I didn't know really what to do. So I was very much more reliant on Andrew to help me, like, okay, what is it that I can do? What bits can't I do? So it was same with Calum. It was very much more like do the warm-ups, help cool down, just keep an eye on things, and then set up if there's like stuff going on or if Andrew needs to sort something out. So that was kind of the experience I had with it.
That's cool. And so you're coaching at Jump Jam, and one of the things that I found, because I did one of the sessions at Jump Jam where I was covering for you, I think you were ill or something like this. I found I feel like coaching in a trampoline park, like the kind of things that you can structure is very different from what the kind of stuff that I imagine you and I like practice most of the time.
Yeah.
And so the kind of tasks or games that you need to organize for people.
It's very
it's a lot
difficult.
different.
Yeah.
The thing is, with when you covered that class for me, we had, when myself and Cameron were actually doing classes, because we did classes in Jump Jam together at a point, there was equipment there that we could use, like bolt boxes, there was pods, the free move pods that we could use for the jumps and stuff. And obviously you could like link that in with the equipment that Jump Jam already have set in place for the general layout. But the time that you covered for me, there was actually no equipment, like, because I've been doing classes for, say, about 5 weeks without the equipment. But that's where the old school kind of parkour comes into mind. Like, you see a wall, what can you do on a wall? Can you do cat grabs? Can you do wall runs? Can you do tic-tacs? Can you do, you see all these different things you can do. Same with boxes on the floor, steps. Like, what can you do with steps? Oh, I know, let's try and do, like, 2-footed precision jump or plyometric jump up to the steps, or, like try and use one leg now and do a hop. Just build on that power. It's just like, you gotta, it's not just about the general movement in parkour. You've got to think how that movement develops. A lot of people, I get a question quite a lot, like, because obviously I love going to the gym. I'm a fully qualified PT as well. And they're always saying, like, oh, you're lifting weights, you're getting heavier. Like, how do you cope with that with the parkour? And I tell them the same thing over and over and over again. Like, the things I'm working on are generally used in parkour anyway. Like, you do muscle ups, you're using your back, your lats, your delts, all those that you would use for your general pop-ups and, kick-ups and stuff with your parkour. They were like, well, how do you jump so high? That's just down to power. Power is being able to exert your maximum amount of strength in a short burst, one quick burst. And, that's all about legs. You've got to work on them legs. You've got to work on, the swing of the arms. Like, it's all down to technique, muscle, power. These things you can work on in the gym as well.
Yeah.
So you kind of think outside the box then, when obviously I'm blessed with that side of things as well, where I've got the PT side of things. I can think, right, okay, so all right, we're limited with the amount of jumps we can do, but how does jumping work? Oh, wait, we've got to work on power. Power is a good way of learning how to jump further. So, what I might do with them, instead of just doing a bog standard precision jump, I'm working on the technique with them, because obviously that's just limiting to one jump. You can't do the strides, you can't do the players. I get them to break down on power, like, so I get them to do like a short jump into a nice long jump on a flat surface, no markers, no boxes, no landing preferences, just the simple on the floor, right, do a nice short jump. Now what I want you to do is really explode on the second jump. and they all come up and they're like, "Oh, my legs are aching." I say, "Good, that's working. You're finding out what the muscle is doing now." You know,
Yeah.
it's the same as we do quadrupedal movement. I'm sure you are familiar with quadrupedal movement. It's not the most fun of exercises, but it is a massively beneficial exercise that people don't realize we can take into parkour.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's especially, it's funny, like what you were just saying made me think of this idea that, I think this is especially important now during lockdown where most people don't have access to go practice parkour. This idea that if you have a high level of fitness, when you practice parkour, you won't become as fatigued, and as a result, you can have greater improvements in your skill acquisition. Because if you can only do like 10 jumps and then you're like wrecked, then you can't do as many jumps and practice the skill of jumping. Whereas if you have a good base of fitness, then you can do lots and lots and lots of jumps and kind of develop that skill.
Yeah, exactly. Totally agree on that response. It's you know, it's the same as a kind of a discipline to it, the same as boxing. You've got the discipline of, you know, the fittest person is usually one that keeps on going and keeps on taking the heavy punches and keeps on giving the heavy punches, while the other ones, you know, kind of dying out. When that person's died out, they're at the greater risk of losing. Well, it's the same principle with the parkour. You know, you got a big jump ahead of you. You've just done 3 big jumps. Are you going to have enough energy and enough power in your legs to make that last jump? Or are you going to try and jump for it and then end up bailing and hurting yourself? You know, you've got to have that. You've got to have a decent balance between your muscular strength, your muscular endurance, and the power that you're exerting from those. You know, it can't just be one or the other. It's got to be a mix of them, but a good balance of them.
Yeah. And so that's cool. I just want to like shift gears a little bit. So Callum, I thought you said you had a like quite a sporty background. You said, I know you play football. Did you just say you do a bit of boxing as well?
No, so I did karate for, about 12 years. About 12 years, something like that. Maybe even slightly more. So I became a 2nd degree black belt, and now I play football for the Welsh division team. Used to play rugby back in school. You know, I used to play basketball quite a lot. All different sports. I used to love a range of sports. I'd give anything a go. And I'd always been told you know, like I pick up on sports very quickly. So it was kind of like, again, it was another challenge. I did a bit of rock climbing back at school as well. Like anything that came up, I'd give a go.
Sweet,
So
man.
it's that kind of, yeah.
And so Callum, did you have did you just say earlier that you didn't have a big sport background kind of coming into parkour?
Yeah, so I had like whereas Calum was doing like karate as a young kid, I was indulging in sports, but because of the structure and the way that they were like shown, I really struggled to find something that really like resonated with me. Like I tried football as a younger kid, and just hated it. Just because of the way that like people were just like shouting and obviously not understanding how things worked. So I tried like other things. Obviously, I was doing sports in school. I was loving that. Like I was getting fully engaged with that because that's more fun and you know it's not so serious. Which is why obviously I think I found the love for parkour is because obviously it's so freely. There's no real rules as such that there's nothing really wrong as long as you're not landing on like your face or you're doing something like crazy
Basic
that's
rules.
not like safe, then obviously it's fine.
Yeah.
It's just what I
And
think
so
really.
do you think that I like from what I'm hearing, like that sense of autonomy, like that your ability to make your own decisions and do things that the way that you like them to do you think that's the main thing that drew you into parkour and kept you practicing parkour, or do you think there are other things as well that made parkour interesting for you and kept you involved?
That's actually quite interesting because I think at the time it was simply the free like movement. There was no like strictness, like there was no way that you really had to land. Obviously with like the techniques it was like always like a feet together, back straight, arms out, chest up, but it wasn't so much forced. Like it wasn't like you wouldn't get like ridiculed if you ever did it wrong. It was more like, okay, well how could you do it better next time? And I think obviously at the time spending time with my friends doing it, that was also a major impact. There was like a big group of us that would always do it. But then it just changed throughout the years. I think it's going back to more, like you said, the autonomy side of it now.
That's cool. That's interesting as well. From kind of once again, like what I'm hearing is that there was a sense of like social support as well. Like it wasn't that if you did something maybe not 100% correctly or something like this, there was a group of people around you who were kind of encouraging you to still kind of participate and encouraging you to improve as well.
Yeah, so there was much like, obviously with the improvement side, everyone was definitely helping each other. But then also, boys being boys, we would like push each other to the point where like we would call each other names to sort of like pressure someone to do it. But that wasn't like, it would never be in like a harsh way. It was more in a way that would like
like
it
you're
would get them to
encouraged,
do it
you want
almost.
to
Yeah.
give them some pressure so that they do the thing that they want to do.
Yeah, it would help them go through like their own mental barrier, just like simply annoying them or just telling them that like this would be like your last one, and then obviously they end up either doing it or trying again, but like getting like hyped up and excited and adrenaline rushing through them.
That's cool, man. What I'd like us to do now, if we can, I'd maybe just like spend 2 minutes or something like this, is talk about kind of how parkour has affected us. So on the first podcast that I did with this, I was kind of talking a little bit about kind of how parkour has affected me and things like improvements in confidence and stuff like this. But I'd be interested to hear you guys and the differences in the both of your answers as well, because I think from what I'm hearing, you both kind of came into parkour at slightly different times of your life and stuff like this. So I'd be interested. Calum, do you want to go first and say like how parkour's affected you? And
Yeah. So back in school, obviously, when I was first initially doing parkour, I wouldn't say I was part of like a very popular group. I wouldn't say I was a part of a very, like pushed aside group either. I was kind of one of those people who were in the middle. But like, it kind of built the confidence up that I never had. Like all through primary and majority of my life through comp, I was bullied quite badly and severely to the point that I had no confidence. I had no self-belief. I had no, kind of like consciousness about myself. Like I lost all belief in myself. The sports was one way of taking kind of my mind off these things. Like the same now with like the football and stuff. 90 minutes on the pitch. Those 90 minutes, you're so focused on something, you don't think about the problems you've got after it. It's the same with the parkour. Like when I was in that parkour session, I was pushing myself to learn something else. I was inside, there was crash mats down. I'd be like, you know what, my body's going to do this, whether it's meant to or not. I'm going to put my body in a position that I didn't even realize it could do what it can. So it would be, whether it would be a single vault, a dive row, a flip, a double vault. Like one big thing that I used to love doing in the sessions itself was the double kongs. And I would push myself to see how far I could throw my body. And Cam will tell you this, there was some funny times of this where I'd absolutely bail. But I used to get back up, and it taught me some sort of belief in my head that, you don't give up until you succeed. No matter how hard it gets, no matter how much you get put off it, do not give up until you succeed. Put it away for a side, put it to the side for a little bit, postpone that if you really need to, but don't give up. Like, come back to it at a later date. So one thing I found is I couldn't quite I hit like a wall. I couldn't beat the longest double kong I'd done. Andrew was doing it with ease. I was coming up and I just could not seem to do it. So I said, right, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to put it aside for a couple of weeks, focus on other things. And that's where, like I said earlier, where the kind of the gym comes into the place with the power, the technique, so on. That's where that all comes into place. It sits in, and you kind of like, you learn more about your body then, and more about the technique and how that helps. So like when I was doing the double kongs, I hit the wall and I couldn't go so far. I realized, right, okay, now I got to work on another vault. Now I got to work on my jumps. Now I got to work on my takeoffs. And that's when I started slowly picking up abilities that I didn't realize I was doing. And then when I came back to doing the double kong, I'd done it. I kind of said to myself, how did I manage this? And that's when you sit down, you realize, right, actually, I needed to work on this in order for this to work better. You know, I needed to train this as well as this to become better at that. And it's kind of a thing, like, as I said, like I live by this motto, like, the best part about hitting rock bottom, there's only one way to go. And like, parkour made me realize that. Parkour brought my confidence back. It brought my self-belief back. It brought my, you know, my consciousness about myself, making me feel good. And with that, then I started building the muscle on top. Started, you know, becoming a bit more stronger, a bit more, you know, mentally stronger as well as physically. You know, so it kind of brought me to be the person I am today, who often at times makes people laugh, often at times makes people believe in themselves. Like, when I'm coaching now, I can see kids. When I look at the kids doing the stuff that they are like scared to try, whether it's a tic-tac to pre, whether it's a dive roll, whether it's, you know, a drop-down roll. I see these kids beginning to panic and get scared. And I think of myself. I see my younger self in them, in the sense of, I was once there where I was too scared to try something. Like, we'd go outside and there was a wall, and I mean, this jump is pathetic. It's pathetic. I look back on it, I think, what on earth was I doing? I was always too scared to try it. You know, and then one day I just went, you know what, stuff it, let's go. Like, I'm not letting this challenge beat me. I'd come to challenges and it'd be to the point where I was like, why am I letting this overtake me? This is where the mental stage come in. And you don't realize until after completing one of these challenges how much your mental state is affected by your everyday life. You know, like, whether it's like, you know, like, I was never spoilt when growing up. I was never mollycoddled when growing up. You know, like, if I hurt myself, my mother would always give me a, you know, a smack on the head. Come on, wise up. You know, smile it off, laugh it off, walk it off. You know, it was never, oh no, what's wrong? You know, let's bandage you up, and then, you know, I'll make you for bringing up too. Now just stay in bed. It was never like that, which I'm grateful for, because again, that improved me. But you see, this day and age, a lot of parents can be like that. You know, like, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's, you know, a good thing either. Like, it depends on the kind of child you're bringing up. You know your child better than anybody else. But it brings the coaches out then and makes them realize as well, like, you know, like, them being mollycoddled, them being, you know, like, wrapped in bubble wrap and, you know, made sure that they're safe and stuff. It's not helping them, because everyday life brings your mental state, like your mental strength, down and down and down and down, because you go through so many hits. To get back up is a lot harder. But then with parkour, you realize, you know what, I take a hit, I get back up. I take a hit again, I get back up. And I'm doing this repetitively until I complete that jump, or I complete that vault, or I complete that challenge. When you complete that challenge, you have a sense of self-worth. And it makes you like, it does. The mental strength is mad, like, you gain from it. And then you look back on your life and you think, you know, like, when before I was doing the parkour, I may have like hid myself away or dealt with something differently. After the parkour, I'm like, yeah, I would have taken that. I would have gripped it and thrown it. Like, I would have thrown that thing, so like, that trouble so far away. I would have dealt with that a completely different way. And yeah, it's like, parkour just kind of built me back up to be the strong individual that I am. Like, I face challenges every day, same as you will, same as Cam will, same as everybody does, you know. But because of parkour and the way that it's built my mental strength and my physical strength, and how it's built me as a person, has completely changed my life in that sense as well. So it's mad. It's mad.
That was a primo ramble. I appreciate that.
It is what it is, isn't it? It is what it is.
Awesome, man. Cameron, can you just do something similar where you talk a little bit about kind of how parkour's affected you and your personality and your growth as a person as well?
Yeah, so obviously when I first moved here, it was very daunting. I am English. There's a lot of beef between Welsh people and the English people with all the rugby and all that. So I think I always, like, as a kid, like, I didn't realize it, but I always had I had to like put on like a front and wind people up, because that's what, like, it just wound people up. Some people found it funny. It annoyed some people. That was just what I was doing as a kid. But then I think slowly becoming engrossed in parkour and then getting slowly the responsibility of coaching people, and then actually increased my maturity. Because obviously you can't be like that around people. You have to like break down things for people. You can't like take the mickey. You have to be supporting, and that's like how I wish I sort of was more back then, instead of just messing around all the time. I remember back then as well, like the big thing with parkour was if you could backflip, and that's a lot of what everyone gets asked. Like, you do parkour, yeah, can you do a backflip? Like, we get it all now. But back then, that was always what I wanted to do. Like, that was the one flip that I wanted to do, and I could never quite do it. So I think slowly building up like the maturity and my confidence from slowly being like dropped in the deep end, trying to coach people my own age, helped with the resilience to like push through mental barriers. There's like times now that I still struggle with mental barriers, but obviously I've like done stuff with you and Calum to try and push through them. I have taken so many hits while doing running. Like, I am so
metal bars.
Yeah, metal bars. Yeah, that was a nasty one, but it's still slowly trying to just break down a jump and just try and push through a mental barrier, which is what I still wanted. Like, I'm still aiming to work towards. But I think parkour definitely helped me with my like confidence, my maturity, and definitely my like self resilience. The way I look at things around me.
Go out, find some challenges, and do them until they're done.
Yeah.
Cool. I think maybe we can wrap it up there. So this has been episode 3 of the AiM Sports Academy podcast. If you're watching us on YouTube, this should hopefully be on YouTube. So if it has,
Sick.
Oh, nice.
Good job.
Nice.
This is so follow us on YouTube, follow us on Spotify, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and TikTok as well. If you have any questions, post them in the comments, and we'll catch you next time, guys.
Yeah, it's sick. Until next time.
Talk to you guys.
See you in a bit. Bye.
Ciao.